Did I already say that I actually hate my intros and my neighbors? Guys, this is the only day I could find in 2 weeks to actually film a video, and if I don't film this today, there won't be a video again, so we will have to live with this audio. And I'm just hoping the microphone doesn't pick up too much on it, and I'm just hoping that I'm not getting too distracted by it, because unfortunately I'm a person really sensitive to sounds. In myself, it's hitting a point right now where it's not funny anymore. In case you're new here, my name is Matsunaga and I'm a fully trained and certified kimono teacher and stylist. And if you're already longer on this channel, you know that I always recommend dressing yourself with a Kourin belt. I have my reasons for it, we're gonna get into it. But first I want to talk about what Kourin belt actually means, because to understand the word Kourin belt, we have to take a deep look into Japanese language. Not too deep, I promise. Kourin belt. In Japanese, Kourin Belto, well, the part with the belt, Belto, is easy to translate because it just means belt. Kourin, for that we have to look a little bit at the different Japanese writing systems and how the characters are read. In Japan, we have 3 different writing systems. Number 1 is hiragana, then you have katakana, and then you have kanji. Kanji are originated in China. That's why we refer to them as kanji, Chinese characters. Every kanji can have many different readings, but there are 2 different categories of the readings itself. You have kunyomi. Kunyomi is the Japanese way of reading it, and then you have onyomi, which is what you would say the Chinese way of reading it. So if we look at the word Kourin, the Japanese characters for it would look like this. The Chinese reading onyomi is Kourin of these characters, but the Japanese reading for it would be Takabayashi, which is a very famous Japanese last name. And now you might have guessed it, yes, it's the name of the actual inventor of the Kourin belt, Saburo Takabayashi. Saburo Takabayashi was born in 1905 and he became a designer and also a kimono instructor. His teaching really resonates with me because he taught his students to dress themselves without a mirror. I'm bad at winking, just so you know. And also he wanted his students to put on a kimono according to the individual silhouette. This is basically also what I truly believe in and what I teach. So it does not only really resonate with me, it also fascinates me that this was already a topic in the 1950s, 60s and 70s when he was actually the most active. After the Second World War, there was a huge shift towards Western clothing in Japan. More and more women would start to wear Western clothing instead of kimono. So it wasn't easy to learn how to put on a kimono anymore. Before that, people would just naturally pick up at home how to put on a kimono, and that is something that didn't happen anymore. This is where kimono schools and kimono classes came in and people started to teach how to put on kimono. Also during that time, I noticed that a lot of people were a little bit obsessing with the kimono collar, I would say. They didn't want it to look messy. It should have been tied up, not gapping, not shifting after a while. Obviously, people would start to tie the ties around the chest really tight to have the kimono hold in place for the rest of the day. I'm gonna continue my thoughts before I'm gonna comment on that. And Mr. Takabayashi, who was a kimono instructor at that time, he wanted to invent a kimono item that helps to keep the kimono collar stay in place neatly, tightly, but also an item that is comfortable for the wearer. And what he came up with is the Kourin belt. The prototype obviously was just a piece of elastic with 2 clothespins at the end. And he handed that out to women who worked in restaurants. But later on also he passed it over to other kimono instructors and other kimono stylists to see what their opinion on it is. It was obviously a hit And in 1957, it became an item you can actually buy. And today, it is one of the standard items in kimono dressing. So let me elaborate a little bit on the...
You have to tie your ties really tight to hold the collar in place.
It's actually really the opposite. It's not the tightness, it's just the correct tightness, but also the correct placement. The really funny thing about it is that the Kourin belt actually helps you discovering that. And I personally, as a kimono instructor, really love the Kourin belts because they let you discover the correct placement of the kimono collar, the ties, everything on you, and at the same time being really forgiving. Because a kimono belt will just always snap into a specific shape and hold everything in place. While if you do a few dressing mistakes and then you tie a tie on top of that, it will keep the dressing mistakes forever. So from the learner's perspective, I think a kimono belt gives you a better outcome way earlier, whilst lets you practice how to have the kimono being properly placed on you. But if you learn with only ties, it will take you more than 3 or 4 times to be really good at dressing. I personally, as a kimono teacher, I want my students to have a good outcome after the first few classes, so I push everyone a little bit towards the belts, and then later on we can always dress with ties. That's how I'm teaching. Every teacher has a little bit of a different opinion on that, but I personally really like the Kourin belts. So here are a few different Kourin belts. I think the one that we know the most as a Kourin belt with the plastic clips, and they also exist with metal clips. And this is the one I'm actually always using. These clips are closer to suspender clips. So you can see a Kourin belt consists of 3 parts. You need 2 clips on the side, and then you need a adjuster in the center to be actually able to adjust the size. And the shape of the clips, as you can see, is kind of a little bit up to you. You can try to find these actual Kourin belt clips that open and close like so, or you could try to find any kind of suspender clips that close like so. And you might now think, why are there metal clips or plastic clips? It depends a little bit on your own preference. I personally like the metal clips more because they never break. But they're actually quite harsh on the fabric. It kind of messes a little bit with the fabric. But I promise it's not too big of a damage that's not fixable. It is nothing that completely ruins your kimono. But if you don't like that, you want to opt out for the plastic clips, because the plastic clips are made so they break before something happens on your kimono, which means they might even break the first day you get them, which happened with one of my students. In conclusion, just get a belt of your liking and use it. Since I will be remaking this belt here, I will only need an elastic. And I found this really cute one with uroko gara. Uroko means... What is uroko in English? Uroko means scale, like fish scale. Is it called snake scale? It is supposed to be seen as a pattern that brings good luck or protects you from bad fortune. It's one of my absolute favorite kimono patterns. I have obi and kimono in this pattern, I really love it. So this will be a really cute Kourin belt. First cut here. Oh my god, look at this. This is so stretchy. Oh my god. So this is how it looked like, right? And first we're gonna start with putting the adjuster in. Let's sew here. Oh! I couldn't find my zipper foot, so I just did it with a normal foot and it ended out okay-ish. And now we will have to decide how long we want to make this. This is actually a meter. I'm gonna cut it at 60 centimeter. So I have about 2 centimeter seam allowance on the other side where I'm gonna put the clip in. And now that it's cut, we're just gonna put it back together. Earlier I was skipping a tiny trick that I'm gonna mention now. When I fold this in here, it doesn't make a lot of sense to put any clips in here to hold this in place. So what I'm doing, I'm just stitching here with some thread and needle back and forth on the same spots, just to hold this in place until it gets sewed down. We're gonna remove the stitching here, but oh, it's so cute. I love it so much. Oh, it's so cute. Let's use it. Morning! It's the next day and I will literally start classes in a few minutes. Literally, I don't have a lot of time, but I'm using my belt today for the very first time and I will need to adjust the length of it. That is, by the way, really, really important. You need to make this belt the length you actually need to dress yourself. And I thought this was perfect opportunity to talk a little bit about it. So you can use two belts in your dressing, one for the juban. This is going to be my juban belt. And this is my kimono belt. That's one of the belts I have showed you yesterday. And they should not be the same length. Usually your kimono belt should be longer than your juban belt. The kimono belt can be rather loose, should be not hanging here on the back, but you should not really feel that it's there. This belt here has to be a little bit tighter, and I do recommend having it the same length as your back is wide. So if I bring this here unstretched over my back, you can see the clips are here on the side of my back. That's what I want to have it to be unstretched. And I do recommend to stretch it out here a little bit once to see how far your clips can reach to the front. You can see my clips do reach they're more than just the edge here of the collar. They go almost to the center of the collar, which is what I want. So I think this is quite a good length. For the kimono belt, you usually want to have also the belt unstretched over your back, but the clip should be here on the front. And when I stretch it out, you can say I almost bring them up here to the center of my body. Almost, not completely, but almost. These are approximately the lengths you want to work with. And yes, there is a little bit of individual adjustment here and there. For my students, I usually don't want them to do it all by themselves because they have me in classes and we can revise it. It's really hard if you have no idea how the belt is supposed to sit to actually tell what is your belt length. I would say you want to experiment a little bit, start with the length as I have given you here, and then you want to maybe make it 1 centimeter up to 2 centimeters longer or shorter. Okay, I really have to get starting classes. See you later. I am finished with classes. Forget my very boring outfit at the end of this video. This is just a regular lesson day outfit. However, I'm really happy with my belt is holding up. If you want to know how to put on your juban with a belt, feel free to click on the video in the top right corner, and I have also linked it down below. This was a really laid back video for me because I am in the midst of having an existential crisis. Here you can see my existential crisis. And if you want to know what this existential crisis is about, feel free to check out the video next month. If you don't want to miss that or any other of my videos, please feel free to subscribe to follow along my kimono adventures. If you like this video or have any questions about Kourin Belts, feel free to ask them down below in the comments. And I will see you in my next kimono adventure. Bye!